Welcome back. In this video, we are going to discuss the structure of 10K report, which is primarily the similar to other annual reports. So it's easier for us to structure that because the annual reports may not have a very structured format. Every company have different way of presenting the annual reports. So in order to give it consistency in ability to explain what are the contents, we are using the 10K reports as a structure. So the first thing, the part one is always the business. So here the companies are usually providing the description of the company's main products, services, and this is usually a very good way to start the company, right? So this is the first thing that you have to understand is what the company is all about, what are their different products and services, and then you will be able to understand the company's activities as well, where their factories are, where they are getting the sources from, so that you can understand more about the company. So this is the foundation of every analysis. So you have to understand who is the subject. Then risk factors: in what markets the company operate, what are the risks the company is running, whether it's related to the foreign exchange, whether it's related to the interest, whether it's financial risk, whether it's related to the operational risk, the competitors and the industry forces. So these are the information which is important for us to understand before we dive into the analyzing the financial statements. Then you will have some selected financial data. This is usually comparing providing last 3 to 5 years, and also you will be able to get the details in the much more details in the actual financial statements. So here the company is choosing what data they want to provide in order to get a better understanding of the company's financial systems. Normally it will include total revenue, total expense, total profits, EPS, or the shareholder and the key ratios. For example, return on equity, or maybe the return on assets, the interest burden on the company, the taxes. So which are the key decision making data for the users. Does not include the future projections. They never, company is not allowed to do a projection for themselves. Usually is done by the other financial analysts. Then you have management discussion and analysis. Here the company is going to discuss mostly about what are their future plans, what are their business results of the past year, and usually allows the company to tell the story and explain why the what is happening in the company. If they are falling short of expectations, what is the reason for it and what they are doing about it. So usually it's a storytelling from the directors or from the management of the company, so that they can explain to the users, and the user is not just only looking at the numbers and getting puzzled. What is the reason for shortfall, what is the reason for a gain, and what the company is doing, what is the company's plan. So that usually gives additional information, and it's a very useful part, and we're going to be using it quite a lot. And then the last is the financial statement itself. So which includes the balance sheet, the profit and loss statement, the cash flows, and also the supplementary information which is normally provided with the financial statements. So let us look at more detail. The part one is usually they are divided into items, item 1 to the end, and part 5. So item 1 means business of the company, which is usually the main products, the services, the subsidiaries it has, in what markets it owns, and also the recent competition, the regulations, any laws that it has to follow, the labor issues, any special operating costs, seasonal factors. Is a very good place to start how the company operates, and is a very important aspect to understand what the company is operating. For example, if you know the company is operating in, let's say, in Middle East or in Syria, where you have a war going on, so you will be definitely easy to make a sense that there may be a problem with the supply chain, or the turf in which the company is operating is quite risky. If there is major reliant on the China, is it major reliant on the Asian economies? So who are the customers where they are getting from? Then you have the risk factors in these markets wherever they are operating. So it can be the financial risk, the interest risk, the geographical risk, the operating risk. So the company has to explain. Then you have part item 1b, which is called unresolved staff comments. So the companies usually will be have to resolve all the staff comments, and if they are not resolved, then they have to mention here. Then what are the properties, principal plants, where are their mines, where are their physical properties only. And then you have legal proceedings. If the company is facing anything which is legal, related to the pending lawsuits or the legal proceedings, usually is not the ordinary litigation, is usually about the significant pending lawsuits which can risk the company's existence or can cause the financial statements to show a loss, or can alter the opinion of the peoples who are going to invest. Usually, since the lawsuits are pending in the court, or maybe they are just dragging on for a long period of year and the outcome is not clear enough, the impact of those lawsuits are not included in the balance sheets or into the profit and loss statement. So for the users to understand what are the risks which the company is facing already, this section is pretty useful. So we always be starting with this part, right? So whenever you are going to analyze any company, you need to really read the part 1 of 10K report, or if you are doing the annual reports, usually the company, you will not be able to find exactly the same information, because the other in the annual reports, in other aspects, the companies are not forced to disclose this kind of information. So it may not be that much easy. So you may have to rely on the other news, maybe the Bloomberg or Yahoo Finance or Google Finance or CNN Business. So there are many resources which you can turn into to get the information about the company. Then you have this the fourth item that does not require is information but is for the SEC. Then you have the part 2, which is market for the registrants, common equity, related stockholders matters. Issuer purchase of the equity requires the company's equity securities, including market information and the number of holders of stock exchange. So here you are going in to provide information about the company's ownership. Who are the major shareholders? What type of shareholding they have? Where are and then if the company has bought back any shares, or have company issued any new company share, any new shares, the stock options, and all those things. Then you will have some simplified financial data, and the item 7 is the management discussion and analysis. This is in part 2, right? Now you will have the MD&A. Usually will be talking about the company's operations, their financial results, the liquidity, capital resources, and any known trends and uncertainties that may affect the company's financial statements. Material changes in the results, and then they will be explaining why. And then also the off balance sheet items, because company may be giving guarantees, maybe giving the or maybe involved in hedging, which is off the balance sheet risk. So the information is required there. Then you will any critical accounting judgments, changes, and assumptions they are making about the company. So if there is any change, the management discussion and analysis has to explain what is the impact of such accounting estimates change or judgment change. For example, change in depreciation, change in the retirement benefits, change in the and the other provisions, maybe pending lawsuits. So these are the judgments, the major judgments, which can impact the company's financial statements quite significantly. So the board of the management has to explain them. Then in the part 2, again you will have the some qualitative and quantitative disclosure about the market risk, financial statements, and also changes with the accountants. So this is about the part 2, and then also some control procedures and other information. Now part 3 will cover information about the directors, the officers, and corporate governance. Usually this part is not that much of useful in analyzing the financial statements because it's more on corporate governance. If you are doing a due diligence about the company, if you are try to assess the who are the directors, what are they getting, then you can go to this data, but otherwise usually you will not require to go into these details because that's not really the important. Executive compensation is quite important to understand because it may help to understand how the compensation is structured. Is it variable based on the incentives or the company's share prices? Because that may give the management an incentive to give you the false information or to falsify the financial statement. So usually after the Enron cases, the compensation has to be disclosed. Then you have the security ownership and beneficial owner and management and related stockholder transactions. So how the company is transacting with its own directors, officers, and management. So the information has to be provided. If it is material information, then the users may be able to understand the company may have a future business or not. Because if the major business is coming only the internal transactions, the company's risk of continuing in the future increase. Then you have the other related transactions with the directors or with other shareholder subsidiary companies and other things. Then you have the principal accountant fees, the auditors fees that they are paying. And then the part 4 is usually the just only the exhibits. Now this is not really a very important aspect for financial analysis, and usually is not included in details into the 10K itself, but it is submitted as a separate list or separate annex or separate data to the SEC, which for which the links are provided, so you can download if you want, but they are not a part of 10K report.